you can. So, let's see, we got Eric, Princess, Silly, Yancey's in here, Morpheus, Kerfuffle, Lisa. Alright, a lot of people starting to pop in. Nice. You guys are coming in pretty quick. Well, hello Mama One. Hello to everybody. So this morning, well, closer to late morning, early afternoon, I had just woke up because I drove pretty and was about to get out the truck and let the dog out, and I noticed a couple of RVs backed behind me. Turned out there were 3 of them. I could only see 2 from my mirror. One of the guys looked like Marcus from the People's Convoy, the guy who happened to take off with $15,000 worth of cash in a box on the last day. Blew up down there. So I started a little video because I didn't have a cell signal very well. I mean, it was come and go. I got that little short made and went to flip it onto live, and it just sat there circling and circling, waiting to go live. And I stepped out. I got a phone call that knocked me out of the live, and I went to go back in. It was a business phone call, so I couldn't really ignore it. At that point, I went, told it to go back live after I got off the call, stepped out on the steps, called out his name, and they all scrambled back into their RVs and took off. So, there's that. Spotted in North Powder, Oregon. Yep. And now, we're about to cross the Columbia River, which kind of divides Oregon and Washington. So once we get across these bridges here, we are in Washington State. Hope everybody got a chance to watch that video that I put out, that little short this morning, or this afternoon. I actually had to go in and beg to borrow their Wi-Fi long enough. The cafe that I was parked at, I had to go in and beg to use their Wi-Fi long enough to get it to upload before I started driving for the day. There's people out there fishing on the river like every other day. It's nice to see them out there finally fishing and being allowed to, instead of being told they couldn't be anywhere near any waterways and had to be 6 feet away from everybody and had to have the masks on and you couldn't come out of your house. Oh yeah. A lot of people might not realize this, but up here in Washington and Oregon and, you know, some of these northwestern states, they turned around and they closed all the state parks, they closed rest areas, they closed practically everything. You were not allowed to go and do anything besides sit at your house. But I'm sorry, but our U.S. Constitution doesn't allow them to do that to us. Yet we let them do it. Why? Fear. All fear. which YouTube is his. I've never bothered to look. With that being said, I'm positive that that's who I saw today. There's no mistaking that man, even from a distance. And the third RV that wasn't in the video, when they all left, I got a good look at it. It looked exactly like the it was all kind of color scheme on it. Looked exactly like the one that he people have shown me pictures of what he posted of one that he's trying to sell that he personally owns. So that was just extra confirmation for me that I was right, because it was identical. I've got a short put up on my site. Hang on, let me see if I can find it real quick for you after I get out of this scale house area. I don't want to be seen playing with my phone. Alright? See, I'll be good, be quiet. Don't get me in trouble. It's one thing, you can never come in and out of Washington State without being forced to go through the scale houses. They're always open. 24/7. Looks like they're pulling inspections. They're probably going to want to inspect my truck because she's ugly. This right here, this is a huge waste of time, especially when you got states like Washington here. Between here and Seattle, even though this is the one that you go through when you first come into the state, between here and Seattle, I'm going where I'm going in Seattle anyway, I'm going to go through 4 more of them. Makes no sense. It's a huge waste of time and taxpayer money. messages the link for that short of me spotting Marcus today. Go ahead and drop that in here. This is my neck of the woods. I grew up out in this crap. This is a desert, which is like literally when you look at the square mileage of Washington, it's not all green trees and raining. Stuff out here looks green right now is because it's being farmed. Short video, went to go live, got a phone call, took care of that, went to go live again and step out. As soon as I stepped out and said, "Hey Marcus," everybody scrambled into all three RVs and took off. I mean, they scrambled fast. I wasn't able to get video because I was still waiting for it to go live. Wi-Fi long enough to get that little short video uploaded. And that's how bad the signal was up there. It's North Powder, Oregon. North Powder, Oregon. That's where I found them today. I would have recognized Scott and Chris also. I didn't see Scott and Chris. I saw Marcus, and the other guy kind of looked like Marco, but I couldn't tell from the distance. And I didn't know. When I first looked, I only saw 2 RVs. When they took off, it ended up being 3. The third one actually matching exactly what he looks like. I never saw anybody else. Didn't see who was driving the third vehicle. Everything just kind of happened too quickly once I yelled out his name. I wish I could have done more for you guys to really show you everything and maybe get a statement out of him, but they didn't want to be talked to. They sure did not want to be talked to, not as quickly as they took off. picture been shared all over. You might be able to run in this country, but truckers are everywhere. $15,000 in cash that belonged to the People's Convoy. So yeah, he's probably got a real good reason to be running, right? Middle lane, Marco. Marco is the security guy, not Marcus. Marco was security. Marcus was the... actually, Marco was Marcus's personal security. That's right. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Tri-Cities, Southeastern Washington State. We in my neck of the woods, this is where I grew up. Matter of fact, in Kennewick, I finished my last 2 years of high school at Kamaikan High School there in Kennewick. I grew up on the family farm about 30 miles north of the Tri-Cities, out in the middle of nowhere. This is my childhood stomping grounds, people. This is why I always turned heads, especially when I got into the Army and everybody'd ask me where I was from. I'd say I'm from the desert in eastern Washington State. And they're like, Washington, you're lying. Washington's all green and trees and rainy all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, you people, you must only watch TV, because guess what? At least 70% of Washington's a desert just like this. The only reason anything's green and anything grows is because we irrigate it from water that comes out of the Columbia River through a series of canal systems. 30% of all donations to be there. 30% of those donations, just in the cash that was supposedly counted on the website, got close to 2 million. What's 30% of that? Got paid 30% of all incoming donations. Really? You know, that the other thing is that website, they only counted the supposed cash coming in. That didn't count any of the Bitcoin. It didn't count any of the other cryptocurrencies that came in. It didn't count any cash personal donations that came in person at any of the rallies. Didn't count anything other than just cash that was donated through the website. And even at that, I don't think that was even an accurate number, because for quite a long time it sat there at like 1.2 million or something like that. It sat there forever like that, and then after the Convoy got back to Hagerstown and split up, it suddenly jumped up to just under 2 million. You know, I think there was a lot of games being played with that money, and not any of us that were in the Convoy really saw any of it other than the fuel that we were getting and the food that we were eating. And most of that food was actually donated by everybody in the country in person. You know, they'd show up to the rallies with truckloads and truckloads of food to give us. They showed up with so much that we ended up having to take 7 or 8 different full trailers and distribute them around homeless shelters and you know, local churches and pantries and things like that, because it was just too much. It was way more than we needed. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, you know, of course, hit that like button. You know, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Be part of the chat. Come in here and comment, you know. Come in here and be part of the conversation. It's always good, even if you don't have the same views, it's good to have a good dialogue, because that's how the people of this country can come together and get together, even if they don't have the same views. At least be able to try to get together and fix something that is wrong. You know? People need to put their egos down and just listen to each other for once. You know? And don't forget to share, share, share. get back on the highway, you need to stay on that shoulder until you hit at least 35 to 45 miles an hour before you re-enter a travel lane. At least that's how I used to teach my, you know, the kids that would be learning how to drive a semi on my, you know, from me on my truck, back when I used to do that kind of thing. But now they just barely start rolling and yank right out into that lane. Hey, all right, you're doing 15 miles an hour pulling into a lane on a 70 mile an hour highway. Are you dumb? Common sense and brains have gone out the window over the last 40 years. It's like it doesn't exist anymore, at least not on the roadways. Yeah, this is Southeastern Washington State now. We used to have, you're going to see a lot of housing and other stuff being built on these hills. So to the right, the hills that are to the right, they used to be completely empty of buildings, and most of them were like covered in orchards, you know, as best as possible for, you know, where they would be able to get the orchard trees to actually grow. Was actually Convoy, Pasco, and Richland. Big city, 3 cities crammed together, split up by the Columbia River, and you know, so all of this stuff you're seeing up ahead here, none of this used to be here, at least not while I was growing up. Except, well, these you can see right this minute. That was here, because that's the Rancho Riata area of the Tri-Cities, but it was not anywhere near as big off to the right as it is now. It was just a small little strip of houses going up that one street up there that you can kind of see off to the right, and the rest of it was all farm. But there's a ton of new houses between that, where the old stuff was, and the hills over here to the right. You can see them with those orangish brownish roofs. Those are all new. To that apartment complex here that was just on the definitely on fire. See if I can get around here. Looking at it, so I don't really know if I've got it in the camera or not. Oh no. No, that's a wildfire that's getting a little too close to that building right there. That's what that is. Somebody's gonna be hurting today. otherwise known as the Columbia Basin. Santa really is. You know, personally, I'm going to take him at his word until he gives me a reason not to. And to this day, he hasn't given me a reason not to. Everything he has said he's going to do or try to do, he has either tried or done did. All these houses you're seeing right here, they're all brand new. Every one of them. They've gone up within the last 2 years or so. And these are big houses. the day that they announced that they were all going to be going to California and got everybody to stand up cheering, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. Right there, my brain was telling me that that was going to be the end of the convoy, because it was going to get smaller and smaller all the way there. They were going to lose their support, and then they were going to get smaller and smaller all the way back, and I was afraid that a lot of those people wouldn't make it back, you know, because a lot of those people joined up in Hagerstown, lived over on the East Coast, and I was afraid a lot of those people were not going to get back to their side of the country, you know, that they'd be left behind. People that I was worried about that I knew personally as friends, and that's one of the reasons I kept joining back in, other than to show my support for the movement, was to make sure that they were still there and still doing all right.
probably be up on it farming. I probably would still be living where I grew up.
continues. Reassure the American people that any movement after the People's Convoy is legitimate after what they did. You know, after what the leadership of what the people holding the purse strings did. How do we reassure the general public that we actually have a purpose and a meaning and a reason, and that we're worth support? How do we show them that? How do we prove it? If anybody's already answered, that's fine. If not, let me know. Let me know what you think. I mean, right now my phone is still cooling down because it was about to overheat. And because it's charging, it's still staying at a warm level. So the screen is dim enough I can almost not see the words at all. Watching all the live streams coming out of there. You know, that's the other thing is when I left Hagerstown that last time, I wasn't sure what was going to go on, but you know, I had to go on a load, and next thing I know, they got police there and everything's being dispersed, and, you know, so I sat back and I watched. All those chips got thrown up in the air, and I watched where they all started to fall and back down into the river or stream, and you know, sort of get washed out, just to see who's going to come out, who's going to be panned out. And right now I'm looking, you know, the only ones that are still kind of standing in any way, shape, or form, and especially from their live streams, are moving forward. That's a 1776. You know, at least that's what sprang up from the remains of the People's Convoy. Another movement, you know, it's called the People's Movement, and that's at every state at the Capitol. So there's that too. I've been looking at that pretty hard, and they've got things going on in every state all the time now, which is really where all the change needs to be made. Is it start at the state levels and get the changes made there, and then work on changing the capital. Yep, term limits. Here's the stupid thing about them term limits, though. You're never, ever going to get any of those politicians to actually vote a law back in. See, they used to have term limits, and they voted it out. Okay? They did it without the people's knowledge. They did it without the people's vote or consent. They got together with both the House and the Senate and the president of their choosing that would vote yes on it. Bill of their own that got rid of term limits. Same thing they do 2 or more terms in any one particular seat. That doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if they sit there for 2 terms at a county seat, and 2 terms at a city seat, and 2 terms at a state seat, and then 2 terms at the Congress, and 2 terms at the Senate, and then 2 terms as a president. They can do that. That's called working your way up, you know. But if they've been sitting in that senator seat, don't vote for them again for that seat. Better than any other candidate. Voting down one party line is what has hurt us so bad, because there are no parties. There are no parties. They're all pushing one agenda. They're putting on a great show, making people think that they're after each other one way or the other, you know, that they're completely in disagreements about this bill and that bill and all of that. They put on a really good show, but at the end of the day, they are all pushing one agenda. Because that one agenda is the only thing that seems to continue. So, mind your P's and Q's, be educated, make sure that you understand everything about every single candidate before you make your choice. And I mean Republicans, not just Democrats, not just flying. Research them all. Fits your vision of the future the best. But do not vote for anyone in the same that has had 2 terms or more. Get all those old schools out. There's no reason that any one of them that have been in there 40, 50, 60 years should still be there. None. The only thing they're worried about, not their people. The only thing that they're there for is to lie. Tell me, how in the world is it? I don't know the exact number of what they get paid per year to be a congressman or a senator, but how in the world is it that, say, hypothetical $150,000 a year turns into $1, $2, $3 billion. How is that you turn into a billionaire just senator? A lot of illegal backdoor deals that all get Ukraine. Just like that $70 billion they're sending over to the Ukraine. Guarantee you that's going to get washed out, and it will eventually slowly start filling up the bank accounts of all of those politicians. $174,000 a year. Thank you, Loud. Thank you. $4,000 a year. You know, when I was a teenager, as a matter of fact, yeah, I was just, they were only being paid roughly like $50,000 a year. Have $20 a pint ice creams in them, like everybody else in the country supposedly has, right? It's just like you take a look at Bernie Sanders. How many mansions does Bernie Sanders have? Let alone how many high-end multi-million-dollar sports cars does he have?
break 19, break 19.
Somebody came back that was way out there that I couldn't hardly hear.
Thank you, thank you.
So, yeah. Competition in the world on 'em. And that doesn't mean of everybody, everywhere in the world, the entire world, everybody controlling a country or being in charge of a country or anything like that. They're all dirty, every one of them. And I still can't even fathom what in the world Kamala Harris ever did to end up where she is in the first place. Her career should have been over. Her career should have been over long before she was ever a politician. Putting innocent people in prison and then blocking the evidence that would have proved their innocence from coming out and refusing to release them or the evidence and getting caught doing that. Her career should have been dead right there. She should have never been able to move forward in any kind of position of power in this country at that point. There's going to be a graveyard coming up here on my right-hand side sometime soon. And my great-grandparents on my dad's side are buried in it. I've also got a couple of great-aunts buried in there. Truck stop here instead of just this little shell one. God knows we needed a lot more parking out here for trucks. We still need more than what they gave us. We've got a Walmart distribution center out here that 200,000-300,000 trucks come and go from that Walmart distribution center every day. I used to run Walmart dedicated truck out of this distribution center years back. Wolf, not Gray Wolf. I am Black Wolf, not Gray Wolf. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that comment. Let you put it back up with the correction. I'll bet a lot of people don't even realize right now there is a group of people that keep getting bigger that started on the far west coast side of Canada, walking. And they are and they get bigger every day. And that's been going on for the last couple of months. People just don't seem to see it out there anymore on the live streams or on any media anymore. It's being blacked out somehow. Because I was watching them closely when they first started, and they just kept getting bigger every day. And all they were doing is walking from one end of the country to the other to get to Ottawa. And that's the one thing that most people seem to not see, is the fact that this freedom movement, I'm going to call it a freedom movement, okay? And those are my own words. This freedom movement is not just in America. It is not just in Canada. It is not just in Australia. It's not just in New Guinea or New Zealand or Sweden or Scotland or Europe or Germany. It's everywhere. It was even in China. It was starting in China, and China decided to go and lock everybody into their houses and put these big steel bars and bolt them into the door frames so these people couldn't get out of their houses or apartments. That's how they stopped the movement in China, because most of those people have now starved to death. Worldwide freedom movement. It's not just here in because we want what is right for the people of this of the every human being. We're tired. We are tired of being worked to the bone like slaves. No matter what job we work, no matter how much money we make, every penny gets sucked right back out of us. We're tired of being modern day slaves. We're tired of having the illusion of an American dream or the illusion of the Canadian dream. You know, where you can come and you can be prosperous and you can become rich. You know, and I don't mean rich as in money, but you know, not necessarily money, but just well-to-do. You know, you big family, everything's going fine, everybody's healthy. You know, because it's not about the money. It's about the way of life. There's this. We're passing that cemetery right now. My great grandmother and great grandfather and some of my great aunts are buried in that cemetery right there. Found their graves once since I was a kid. That was like 9-10 years ago when I was working out a truck out of the Walmart DC that's up here ahead. I took a day off and I went out and spent the day out there in the cemetery looking for my great grandparents. Can't understand why any of the groups aren't all uniting. Here's the problem. Everybody's got an ego. Everybody's got an idea in their head of what a real patriot and what real leadership in this country should be. Everybody's too busy pushing their, you don't like their religion, just stand. But we're human. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many times or God-fearing people get up and all we need all God-fearing people to be in politics. We need to get all these people out. We need this kind of person in politics, and they have to be this kind of religion and blah blah blah. And I'm like, come on, dude. Really? What does religion have to do with governmental? Truly. So, hadn't decided to institute a welfare program in the first place, and convinced half of the country that they can just sit at home and live the life they want to live without ever having to work. You know? And like I said, so if you really God-fearing people, whose God-fearing people is it that you need to be politicians? Whose? I mean, seriously, do you really want Mormons having 100% control of all politics in this country? Do you really want Catholics having all 100% control of politics in this country? Or Buddhists? Or Muslims? Or any other religion or spiritual belief? Do you think that any one of them should have 100% control of our political arena in any country whatsoever? I don't believe that. The one thing everybody needs to remember: absolute power corrupts absolutely. Should not ever vote for any politician in any one political seat. As a congressman, don't vote for him anymore. If they've had 2 terms as a senator, don't vote for him anymore. We need to keep fresh minds and fresh blood in the political office. Sit there stagnant for 40 and 50 and 60 years, doing nothing but lining their own pockets and not caring what their people want or need or make. Breadcrumbs on my paycheck. And even at that, after they take all the taxes out of your paycheck, out of your yearly income, whatever, you're still paying taxes on everything else. You go and buy a hot dog, or you go and buy a gas in your car. Everything has an insane amount of tax already built into the price. And in some states, they have sales tax also. So the price is already built up by the state in tax, and then they turn around and tax you a sales tax. Overly. It is time for us to stop being the cash cow. We are not. Yeah. Jesse, you're right. minister to terrorists, supposedly, somehow called them all terrorists, called them or government, that was the Canadian government, declaring war and attacking their own people. That was the beginning of a revolution, yet the people did not see it. The people didn't see it that way. That should have been the beginning of a revolution, because they literally declared war on their own people. Their government declared war on their own people. That's what I see looking from the outside in, okay? Those are my opinions. But like I said, from the outside looking in, to me, it heavily appeared that the government in Canada declared war on its own people. And they also hospitalized and injured and actually killed a few. Let alone took them prisoner and locked them up and put big charges on them. You know? I'm sorry, but in my mind, that was the start of a revolutionary war in Canada. But the Canadian people did not see it. When any government outright attacks or orders people to go in and attack in any way, shape, or form their own people, that is the government declaring war on their own people. Period. Lisa, that would be true if we were not under emergency powers. Not only are we under emergency powers, but Bush Jr. put us in a state of war. Bush Jr. put us in a state of war after 9/11. And ever since then, we have still been at a state of war. They have not lifted the declaration of war, which means America is still in war status, wartime, which puts America following the rules and guidelines of the war manual. And then you add in the fact that we are under the Emergency Powers Act. Technically, you believe you have all your Bill of Rights and your Constitution right now. You believe it, right? But what if I was to tell you, with all three of those, with all those things, with the fact that America is still under a declaration of war against terrorism, and then you add in the Emergency Powers Act, and then, hey, just for giggles here, let's add in the Patriot Act, okay? You get those three things coupled together, and you have the illusion rights and your freedoms, because they can decide that they don't like what you have to say. They don't like your movement. They can decide to just come and lock you up, throw away the key, and you could never see an attorney or have a phone call or anything for as long as they want, or until after the declaration of war is canceled out, the Emergency Powers Act is removed, and then they'll still hold you under the Patriot Act, but we need to get rid of that too. Because when Bush Sr. put the Patriot Act into place, the only reason the entire country didn't stand up against him instantly on that one is because he swore up and down that it would never be used against American citizens. And look what we have today. He swore to believe what's on the TV so much. Against Americans, against U.S. citizens. And now it's being used against us at the flick of a pen. As soon as somebody decides they don't like what you have to say, or they don't like your agenda or your movement in any way, shape, or form, they'll lock you away under the Patriot Act. So no, in reality, right now you don't have a constitution. Right now you do not have any rights, because they can trample on them without any question, because of the fact that we are still under war status from 9/11, and we have the Emergency Powers Act in place, and then to top it off, we have the Patriot Act. Those three things mean you have no rights. You have no constitution. Anybody knows their history, especially about World War II, all three of those same laws, not necessarily called the same, not necessarily worded exactly the same, but all had the exact same outcome, right? All three of those with the same outcome were put into place before World War II in Germany. This is what allowed one party to control the media. This is what allowed one party to control the agenda. This is what allowed one party to turn around and say, hey, doesn't agree with our political view, and all the Jews have to put a star on their chest. This is what allowed them to then turn around and round them all up and put them in labor camps, which later turned into, death camps. This is what allowed World War II to happen. And it's right here in America today. We are looking at the very beginning of what could be World War III, and that scares the living out of me. War. Buffers a lot, This area of the state of Washington doesn't have that great a cell service no matter where you go. But I'm going to be quiet for a minute while I read some of the comments here. Crypt Keeper's grandmother. She's the grandmother to the Crypt Keeper. I swear, if her eyes sink any further back in her head, they're gonna fall out her butt. Agenda 22, look up Agenda 2024, Agenda 24, Agenda 26, Agenda 28, look them all up. Every election year there is an agenda, and it's already been planned out. It's all the information out there. It's out on the internet everywhere. It was out in paper books everywhere. It's out there. Look them up. Let me check this out. Here, I gotta go here. Back. Alright. Somebody from Catalina, Ohio just tried to call me. But I can't think of anybody I know in Catalina. I might get a little into the Seattle area, which means I can get the bugs off my windshield. Reminds me, I need to replace him. Oh. Nah, usually call comes from an Oregon number. Sometimes I block most of them, like when they call and I realize that they're just they go to voicemail first, right? But if it turns out it's one of them scams or telemarketers or whatever, I will, sometimes I'll answer the phone call and I'll answer investigation department. This is the fraud department. How can I help you? Usually it goes click really quick. But then I block them. So I must have several thousand different telemarketer scam type numbers that have already been blocked. Because it seems to be never ending. This whole pandemic thing that we just have been going through, that was Agenda 21. That was the tail end of Agenda 21. And they failed in what they really were trying to do. Right now, the people in Denmark now have to make an appointment to go to the grocery store. And they can only buy those items that they have a ration ticket for. Did you know they're doing that in Denmark now? I just found that out myself. backwards, aren't you? Everybody says, oh, we're going to have this massive recession. We're going to go into a massive recession because of all this inflation. I got news for you. With the amount of money that the U.S. government printed up and handed out in stimulus and is still doing that and sending money overseas that we do not have, I'm sorry, but we're not looking at going into a recession. We're looking at the stock market crashing. We're looking at full-blown depression. We are going to go into a depression. Not unless we can turn this ship around within the next 4 to 6 years. Maybe sooner. I guarantee it's gonna hurt. And yes, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Yeah, what reason do they have to have blackouts in the first place? What reason? There isn't any. Reason to have rolling blackouts. Especially not if anybody knows anything about what Nikola Tesla had worked on and produced and patented and had out there working at the same time that Thomas Edison was working on his stuff. Or was it Jefferson? I don't remember which. My brain is not working on that level today. I'd need to open up a book. But anyway, Nikola Tesla's source of electricity and power was coming straight out of nature. It was coming out of the air. He was pulling it out of the air and out of the ground. And that is a free electricity. Yet, because nobody could sit there and take a free source of energy and make money out of everybody on it, we couldn't have it, right? That's right, Big Red. We could possibly end up in a recession. No, that's a lie. Everybody remembers the last recession. It wasn't really that bad, right? It was minor. It was a very small amount of inflation. But the amount of inflation we are looking at right now, when that bubble pops, it is going to pop so badly that worse than the last depression this country has seen. And that will affect the entire world, not just this country. And if you pay attention to what's going on in the stock market right now, an impending collapse. Twitch won't drop like YouTube does. All you have to do really on Twitch is just hit the refresh button. I will, Christy, I will. The other thing I'm thinking about though is if I completely drop my feed coming up here, I need to make, yeah, no, the area is really pretty. Desert right here. There's mountains ahead, there's not a tree, sagebrush, nothing. It's all dry cheatgrass. Survived that little signal drop, but I know there's going to be another one or two right before we get into Yakima. Because I got to cut between that, see where the mountains, the two mountains are now. Not. Oh, looks like I got it back for a second. Maybe you can hear me now. Coming in. And truthfully, rain falls here. Those mountains always look like that. I did not drop the live stream through all that. That's kind of crazy that the live stream didn't go down there, because I lose my, if I'm on a cell phone call going through that area, I lose it completely. So Big Red, are you trying to become one of my moderators in here? Because you're putting on a good show. I'm thinking about it. I did. So I got up, I drove late last night, and when I woke up, got ready to get out of the truck and take the dog out for a walk, I realized there were a couple of RVs back behind, and the one guy looked like Marcus, so I made a, I tried to go live, and it just sat there, turned around and made a quick video, and then went to go back live, and when I went to go back live, I got a business call, which knocked me off of everything, and I got done with the business call real quick, and live, stepped out of the truck, okay, I stepped out of the truck and started walking towards him and called out, "Hey, Marcus," and they all got in their RVs and took off like instantly, in a hurry. They ran. And there were, in the video you see 2 RVs. There was a third one hiding back farther over out of view behind me. So there was a white painted schemed one. Then there was that darker one, and then there was that 5th wheel one on a pickup. And it was 3 of them. But when I yelled out, "Hey Marcus," and started walking that way, and they took off like that real quick, that tells me it was him. I could have done better, but the area I was parked in, the cell signal was so spotty. I literally had to, in order just to upload that video, that little short video, I literally had to go into the cafe and beg them to allow me to use their Wi-Fi just long enough for it to upload. Basically the 2 lanes on the left were it. Everything that I just drove over right next to that lake, that was all a park. It used to be a park right there. We used to have family reunions in that park. We'd go swimming and barbecue, and that was when I was a little kid. That was long before they turned this thing into a 4-lane. Silly, you got my email address, right? I put it out on there plenty of times. You should have it. Let me know if you've got my email address, Silly. Did you? Alright. Go ahead and post it again, because I want Big Red to send me an email so I can turn around and have a little private conversation with him later. Big Red was listening when I said that. Another thing, like take a look at the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. You look at all of that, and you look at politicians are, they're lying and they're cheating all the way around, and they are so brazen about it, they are now doing it right in front of everybody's faces. Because they firmly believe that the American people are too stupid to do anything about it. I got news for them. We ain't not stupid. Some of us may look ugly. Some of us may be missing teeth. Some of us may have some deformities. Some of us may have some mental illnesses, but we are not stupid. Neither side. Since I was in my early teens. Early teenage years, the last time any of us had a family reunion. None of us can actually afford to do it anymore. We're scattered all over the country. And it's just too time consuming and expensive, I guess. Proving grounds a couple of times because I was a 13 Foxtrot Ford Observer. All right, good job there, Big Red. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Welcome to my show. Oh my gosh. I was wondering how you've been doing. I know I've heard you've been hanging out with the 1776 over there, but I was wondering how you were doing with all your pups and everything, because the last time I saw you, I don't remember if I ran into you in Sheridan, but I remember out there in Sacramento while Rosie Rowe was still in the hospital. I came over to you and I had to I shot a little video of you saying hi to Rosie Rowe, and I sent it to her while she was in the hospital. So you were a 19 and I was a 13. Foxtrot, huh? And see, my duty station, I went to, let's see, I went to basic and AIT at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Fort Hood, Texas, and spent my entire time basically stationed at Fort Hood, Texas under HHB DeVarty 1st Cavalry Division, Bravo 17. But I spent almost my entirety of my military career over in the litter box. Yep. Everybody, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe. Share it out everywhere you can. And be part of the conversation. Get in here and comment. You know, bring the information in. It doesn't matter if you don't think that what you have to say goes with what people have to say in here, or what I have to say. How in the world does anybody expect to have a good dialogue and actually be able to come together on one idea if we don't have a conversation? Seriously, I don't care how ridiculous or how different your belief or your idea is about what we're talking about. Bring it in. I don't want to have just an echo chamber, you know. It's good to hear what other people are thinking. I mean, you might be here because you want freedom in the future, but you also have different political ideals than what we do. That's why we need to sit down as human beings and have an intelligent conversation so that we can get everybody in this country involved in moving forward and making things better. And you asked, somebody back there asked what the litter box is. Oh, mom of one boy asked what the litter box is. The litter box, that is everywhere in the Middle East. Even Big Red knows that. Seriously, bro. You cannot see that I'm catching somebody? Really? Because at some point we can find some common ground. And it's the common ground that we need to tread forward with. He must be empty. Oh yeah, there's not a single animal in his trailer. He's empty. still getting comments on that little video from earlier about, no, that's not the RV, that's not the RV. I'm sorry, but the RV that he personally owns is the one that was hidden behind my truck that you could not see, and I would have been able to show you had I had a signal. Instead of people coming in here and hearing what I have to say about that video, they're just going off of that little video clip and saying, oh, that's not the one. There were 3, but in the video you only see 2. I've already been accused of being a coward for not getting out of the truck and trying to confront him. Well, I did. And I tried to do it on live stream, but it wouldn't go live because of where I was and there was no signal, which is why I only had that little video clip. So people can believe whatever they want. Fact remains, he took off. And he's been running ever since. See how well I hold a signal through here. We got several of these hills to go over before we get into Ellensburg. Yep. Look, if you can't realize that short clip was just a short clip. Maybe it was, and if you can't realize that it was a clip of a video that was uploaded instead of a live stream, because everybody knows I live stream everything. You should realize I was in an area I had no signal, so my only option was to do a little short video at that point. And when I got out and tried to put it on live to try to see if I could get him to talk, they took off. They took off real quick. As soon as I called his name out, they took off running. They ran and got in their RVs and they left. And there were 3 RVs, 2 of which are in the video. The other one was hiding behind my truck on the other side. Which I didn't see until they went to take off. And it was a white paint scheme, you know, it was mostly white, and it looks identical to the one that Marcus was trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace. So, the haters are gonna hate, let them hate, I don't care. Yes, I have. I've spent a lot of time in Ellensburg. As a matter of fact, one of my cousins used to live in Ellensburg until recently. Until this pandemic thing, he ended up having to move home with his mom. He had to move home with his mom over in Walla Walla. But I grew up out in this neck of the woods. As a matter of fact, when we get to the top of one of these hills here, you can actually see in the distance, especially if you had a telescope, you can see our old family farm that we don't own anymore. This is my neck of the woods. There isn't any place out here that I have not spent a lot of time in. That's because everybody seems to think that Marcus is going to be all by himself in his own RV or in his house or wherever he is, and that he's just plain hiding and not coming out. Well, I found him today. I'm positive in my bones that I found him today. Especially the way he ran and everybody else ran and got in the 3 RVs and took off extremely fast after I... They can believe whatever they they want. Everybody's free to believe. Maybe I can go back in later and edit the description and put a detail in there on what transpired and how it went down. But do I really have to? Should I have to? Let the haters hate. This is the desert in Washington State, otherwise known as the Columbia Basin and the Yakima Valley. And it takes up a very large majority of the state. After they divorced. You don't have to wait. Convoy. Not one of them stood up and yelled and screamed and begged for freedom. Not one of them got out and waved an American flag. Not one of them drove and blew their air horns or their train horns or their car horns. I guarantee you not one of them did a darn thing besides sit here and pick at everybody and tell everybody how wrong they are and how much of a coward they are and what they're doing is wrong. Those are the same people that are calling me a coward right now. So, I don't care. Either you believe me or you don't. Either you like me or you don't. I don't care. It's no skin off my back either way. I am what I am who I am, and I'm not changing for nobody. I speak from the heart. I follow my heart. And I wholeheartedly, 100% believe in the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I will back them 100%, no matter what. for you. I'm surprised I've held this live stream all the way through all this. I usually lose my signal badly out here. Today's just one of those days. It must be the cloud cover making the signal bounce a little better down toward the ground, right? Because we're climbing the last hill before dropping down into Ellensburg. You know, about 9-10 years ago, a little bit off to the left of the screen, right after this curve, there's that first little knob hill on the left of the highway, of the two lanes I'm headed in right now. Right after that, a buddy of mine fell asleep behind the wheel of his semi-truck, fully loaded with Walmart groceries. Went through the guardrail and halfway down that hill before coming to a stop. And somehow, going down through all of that, he did not lay the truck over. It was still standing upright the entire time. A freaking miracle. It's the blue truck is right now. That's where he went through and went down under. Of course, he lost his job for it, but it was a miracle that he didn't lay it over. It was a miracle he didn't get hurt or hurt anybody else. But that's how hard these companies will push a driver. They'll push them so hard that they are constantly fighting that sleep behind the wheel, because they push you every waking legal minute that you've got on your logs. Just go, 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 go. And it wears you out. I see Max Flowers sitting there playing with how to get the O in my Wölf. Yeah, God was with that man that day. Kind of weird. He worked at the Walmart distribution center out here in Washington State, but he lived in Ohio. So when they let him go, he just went home to Ohio and started driving truck for another company. I always wondered, if he lived in Ohio, how is he working here at the distribution center in Washington State? I guess maybe he would fly home and fly back whenever he wanted to go home, right? I'm guessing. But none of us were ever being paid enough to be able to afford a plane ticket anyway. Going to be overlooking the area here that surrounds Ellensburg, Washington. Matter of fact, our old family farm, if we were standing up at the very top of that last hill looking towards the east, the old family farm is about 20-25 miles east of here. Look on a map of Washington State, look in eastern Washington, there's a small town called Othello and a small town called Connell. Our family farm was right in between the two. And that was about 30 miles north of the Tri-Cities, Kennewick, Pasco, Richland. if anybody I grew up with has now gotten enough clues to know who I am, keep it to yourselves. Don't put it out there on here, please. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So, Wyckoffs, I put out a little short clip today of who I thought was Marcus. I feel and know in my bones that it is. So this is how it transpired. Let me explain it to you real quick, okay? So I wake up because I drove really late at night, and I wake up. I'm getting ready to get out of the truck and take the dog out for a walk, and I realize there's two RVs sitting behind me and two people standing back there, and one looked just like Marcus. I couldn't get my phone to go live because my cell signal was coming and going. So I took it again, got a business. So I got done with that real quick, put it back on live, and it looked like it was going to go. And I stepped out of the truck and went to confront him, and I'm walking towards him, and I yelled out, "Hey, Marcus," and they turned and ran. All, you know, the two people that I saw turned and ran. Next thing I know, there's three RVs pulling out. One I didn't see because it was hiding on the other side of my truck. That one was a white colored paint schemed one, which matched identically to the one that Marcus was supposedly selling on Facebook Marketplace, the one he personally owns. So there were a total of three RVs. The dark colored one, the white one that Marcus personally owns, and then that little fifth wheel one that was attached to a pickup. I mean, literally after I called out Marcus, they turned and got in their RVs and left real quick. So that tells me that's exactly who that was, because, I mean, as much time as I spent with the convoy in the first place, it's not like I wouldn't recognize him, right? I mean, the signal was so spotty that I even had to go in and beg that cafe to let me have their Wi-Fi access for a minute, just long enough to upload that little short video. And I'm glad they did, because I got it out. But it, you know, it's just one of those days, right? You just happen to be in the right place at the right time. I have no idea why I decided to wake up at that moment, but I did.
In 1 3/4 miles, keep left to I-90
Yep.
West.
It's the one that's titled, I think I just spotted Marcus. Is your email up on your YouTube? Is it posted up on your YouTube anywhere? Wyckoff? If not, Jen or Silly can go ahead and post my email so you have it. You can send me an email and I'll get back to you. Jen, Silly, post my email, one of you. Verdia. My truck is extremely identifiable. There is not another semi-truck that looks like this out there on the highway in this country. Second, I'm extremely identifiable. Everybody can tell me from a distance. So, first of all, he had to have known that was my truck when they pulled in there. Second of all, when I got out and yelled his name and started walking to him, that was the point of realization, right? And it's not about what he thought I was going to do. It's about he don't want to be caught, and he don't want to be on camera, he don't want to be questioned, because he's the one that decided to take off with a box of $15,000 cash in it that belonged to the People's Convoy that last day in Hagerstown.
Continue on 919.
There you go. Thank you, silly. Thank you, silly. And Wyckoff's right there's my email. And other ways of contacting me, I guess. Let me know you got my email there, Wyckoff's. Used to be a little small farming community town. Now it's grown into a little city of its own. Let's everybody not forget. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, hit the little bell for the notifications, and get in here, be part of the conversation. Comment inside the live streams, because we want to have a good conversation. It doesn't matter if you think your idea or your political view isn't what we are talking about, or it isn't aligned with our views. We need to have a dialogue. We need to have a discussion, because we may not agree on many things, but the people of this country and of the world need to learn and figure out how to have a dialogue with each other to find common ground, because that common ground is the only thing that is going to help us worldwide moving forward. If we can't find the common ground, then we're lost. Wyckoff's got it. Come on. Nope. Been too long. Son of a... Seriously. Who taught you how to drive, Mr. Canadian? You get your nose into the exit, then slow down and hit your brakes. That's why the exit ramps are so long. North Powder, Oregon. There were 3 RVs, 2 of which showed up in my video, but I saw Marcus clearly. I made a quick little video because I had just woke up. I was going to get out. Made a quick little video, tried to go live. That didn't work. Long story short, I thought it was going live. I had set it up to go live, and I stepped out of the truck and started walking towards him, and I yelled out Marcus, and they turned and ran. They got into their RVs. There were 3 RVs. A white one that perfectly matches the one that Marcus personally owns. Another one that was a 5th wheel on a pickup, and then that dark colored one. The white one was kind of hidden behind the other side of my truck, which is why it never showed up on video. But as soon as I yelled out his name, they all turned and ran and got in their RVs and left real quick. And that was late this morning. The last day of the People's Convoy, he's the one that took off with a box of $15,000 cash in it that belonged to the People's Convoy. Never to be seen or heard from again. Video that I posted was so spotty. That's why I couldn't get it to go live. I actually ended up having to ask the cafe there to let me use their Wi-Fi long enough to get that little video I made uploaded. But anyway, just kind of a crazy morning. Windshield than that to get rid of them bugs. This is why everything on this side of the Cascade Mountains, everything on the east side of the Cascade Mountains is nothing but a desert. Because after those clouds get past the Cascade Mountains, they've got almost nothing left. Yep, I agree, Tim. I agree. Marcus took it and left with it. It's on the live streams. Just have to watch them. conversation whether you have opposing ideas or not. We need to find common ground at that point, right? How do we ever find common ground and move forward as a people without discussing things out with each other civilly, right? That's what I'm looking for here. Be part of the conversation. Don't just sit back there and watch. Be part of the conversation. And the other thing is, don't forget to share. Spread the word. On the West Coast for a while, at least in the northwestern states, and that's the way that is. But after the 4th of July goes by, a few weeks later, I'll be able to stretch out across the rest of the country, and it does not matter to me whether I'm going in. I'm going to drive into the DC area and join up with Santa for a day or two, and then grab another load and get going. It doesn't matter. Got some kind of movement going on there that day at the state capitol or a rally or something, I'll be there too. Wherever I am, if there is an event for the time to just devote here or there at a time. Most people don't understand. If the $100 out the window, having no problems about abandoning my commitments to my family. Sorry, that's wrong. I didn't abandon any commitments to my family. My family always EMAL, that's the name. Anymore, ever. Take screenshots. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Silly. Problem is you got people coming in everywhere that they don't want your voice being heard. They don't want your side of politics being heard. They don't want you out there at all. So they'll come in and they'll raise a stink of some kind, anything, to try to poke at you and try to make you look bad. Well, guess what? You're going to come in here and tell me I failed on my commitments to my family, or that I abandoned my commitments to my family? You don't know me. You don't know my family. You have no idea who I am. You're just picking things out of thin air to poke at the bear. Guess what? It ain't gonna work. That's right. One of which took a box full of $15,000 cash that had been put together by the people in the People's Convoy and the live streamers whose viewers donated a lot of that, most of it actually. Most of that money had been donated through the live stream viewers and had been gone and taken out in cash from ATMs and put in that box. Marcus took off with. Gets heard, the more trolls come in too. Let them because we got these fancy little buttons that neuter them. You know, this spring you should all do your neighborhood a favor. Get out there and collect up all the trolls and neuter and spay all your trolls, okay? Also forced out. Mike was forced out. Just like Brian was forced out. catch-22. No rain coming down. And all them bugs love to find my windshield. Live streamers were never asking for money just for themselves. You know, almost all of the money that ever got put into the live straight to the convoy. It went straight to helping the people of the convoy. It went to all kinds of things. It went to tires. It went to wiring. It went to headlights. It went to, you know, there was a lot of vehicle maintenance that needed to be done all the way around. I mean, it's not like you can just magically wave a wand and you got 1,000 vehicles or 3,000 vehicles or whatever, even 5 vehicles. It's not like you can wave a magic wand and not have a problem with any of them from one end of the country to the other and back again and then back again. Sorry, it's just not possible, especially not when nobody had any brand new, you know. There were very few people who had brand new vehicles to begin with. And most of the donations that went to the live streamers that was left over actually went to the convoy leadership themselves to add to the pile of donations so that the convoy could keep moving. And yes, some of the live streamers, that's all their profession was in the first place, was a live streamer. So yes, they used it on their own bills as well to keep themselves stable. And there is nothing wrong with that. You're there being a personal reporter slash documentarian, and you're keeping the information flowing. You've got to support yourself somehow. There's nothing wrong with that. But nobody went out and did anything extravagant. The only people that did that were Chris Young and her husband and Marcus and Marco. They're the only ones that went out and did all this extravagant crap. They're the only ones that turned around and ran with the money when all was said and done, too. And that's also why I'm sitting here live streaming, you know? How many times in here, show of hands, everybody, how many times in here, for those of you that have been watching me for quite a while, how many times have I ever asked anybody to send me money? How many times have I ever asked for any donations? Then turn around and tell people in here how many times I've actually turned people down for things for me out here. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I am hurting badly financially, but we all are, especially with these fuel prices and with who we have in office. I will dig my way out. I'll dig myself out of this hole. It's just what I do. Tried to get me a hotel several nights in a row, and I turned her down every time. To take a handout from anybody. Gold bar, oh. See, the naysayers, they're always coming in. The people that don't want my voice heard, they're going to come in here and they're going to say anything they can that might possibly turn people away. That's not going to work. See if this scale house is open. I hope this scale house is not open, because I really don't want to have to go through it at 2 miles an hour. Bypass way station. Let's see what my thingy says. It says green. It says I'm good to go. All right. That little beeping you're hearing is I got a little device down on my dashboard there that it flashes a green light and it beeps like that to let me know I don't have to come into the scale house. If it flashes red, it'll make a completely different kind of beeping noise, and that tells me I've got to go in. So, today we don't have to go in. And that is that's the third one. That's the third one since we came into Washington that I've gone past. First one we went through it, the other two, this one and the last one, we drove right past them because we weren't required to go in. And see, that's the other thing. That's another thing that tore apart the convoy. So when the People's Convoy first got to Hagerstown, there was another convoy already sitting there, had been there almost a week, and that was the American Freedom Convoy. They had just as many trucks, cars, RVs, vans, motorcycles, and people as the People's Convoy did. So when we got to Hagerstown that day, the first time, by the way, when we got to Hagerstown that day, the size of the convoy doubled instantly. And Chris Young immediately started slinging all kinds of mud in the direction of the people that were in the leadership of the American Freedom Convoy. And the reason is because they refused to drop their name. They refused to give over all of their donations from their people over to Chris Young. They wanted to stay the American Freedom Convoy They wanted to join the whole thing together as one, and they did for a while. Until Chris Young just beat them down and beat them down and beat them down to the point that, you know, the People's Convoy went to California and the American Freedom Convoy stayed back behind like they promised their people. And even after that, Chris Young just kept slinging mud all over the American Freedom Convoy, trying to paint them as evil and bad. Yet nobody in the American Freedom Convoy slung any mud back ever. That right there was the sign of somebody that demanded full control of tried to take control of another convoy's money, saying that they had to be the People's Convoy, not with the American Freedom Convoy. I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's wrong. Are standing together in a protest for the same purpose. Do you have any right to the money in their pocket? No, you do not. Everybody's got to love Washington State. This is what everybody thinks Washington State looks like. This is what everybody thinks the entire state looks like. This is not what the entire state looks like. Yep. State. Sad but true. Mountains divide the state. Tell Chris that, but she's not listening. All over the country in every single state. There's movements in your own town. All you got to do is look. It is stand up, get active, get out, be seen, be heard, be loud, yet be peaceful. Get the information out to your neighbors, to your church groups, to your school board meetings. You know, to your city councils. Put the pressure on them. Just remember, every step of the way, be peaceful. Don't give them a reason. look at it like this. Give me liberty or give me eggs. I will eat both. And trust me, I've taken my share of eggs. Especially out in San Francisco. We were out there on the convoy getting egged. I still have eggshells right in front of the windshield. Between the windshield and the hood, there's a little ledge right there. There's still eggshells all over that ledge. They ended up losing their job for just sending out cart after cart after cart full of eggs. I mean, who actually paid for those eggs? Did Safeway themselves pay for that? Pay for those eggs? Truck wash. Look, she ain't gotta be pretty to make money. Only time she really needs a truck wash is to get the salt off of her. And, well, we ain't in the wintertime no more, so the salt's gone. But you're not lying, she probably does need a wash. But even if I get a truck wash, them eggshells are still gonna be laying right there. That's not an area that they spray down. start going out to the colleges. Definitely go out to the colleges and spread the word. Show people what is really happening versus what they're being told is happening. Show them the video evidence. As a matter of fact, go out to the colleges and give every single one of the people out there that you see a pocket constitution. Matter of fact, here, you do this. As soon as I get around this guy here, if I can, if these cars will let me. There we go, there we go, there we go. There's enough space, barely. He tried to speed up back there. You'll see him after I pass this truck. Looks like a little black Jetta. The second my signal came on, he sped up. Don't be that guy either. Little black Jetta, Volkswagen. If you don't have one of these, you should. Matter of fact, you should keep it in every one of your vehicles and in your house, and one in your purse if you carry a purse. And if you don't have one, buy, get a box. Have a box of them sent to you. That way you can put one everywhere, that you got one on hand everywhere you go, and then you can distribute the rest around your neighborhood, around your college, your high school, at your church. Everybody should have one of these, and everybody should know what it says from cover. Truck and took off sign and drove away? Bob? Who did? Because my headlight's right underneath it. Especially when we were in Indianapolis. The one in Hagerstown, that was great too. But when you watch all the horn that's going nuts. There's one horn in particular. That's my horn. That's this one. That was me. Everybody. snow up there. That snow is going to be there all year long. Still got snow up there. Get out of my lane. Stupid Jeep. That was another thing, you know, where I was parked last night, I went to bed really late. The sun was about to come up. It was just above 30 degrees. It's nice. But of course, when I woke up this morning, or late this morning anyway, it was already 75 degrees out. This morning it was already 75 degrees out. Like 2 o'clock this morning it was 30 degrees. So there you go, more snow. Snow, snow, snow. I'll bet y'all don't like seeing snow. After all the snow y'all saw earlier this winter, right? See all that snow up there on them mountains? What's that tell you? Where's all this global warming? Oh wait, never mind. They're calling it climate change now. That's right, because the climate changes from warm to cold, to warm to cold, to hot to cold, to hot to warm. It's a cycle. It's like a circulatory system. It's a cycle. Next thing you know, they're going to be calling it a global climate crisis instead of just climate change. They're going to call it a climate crisis. Just like I'm still waiting for them to come out with the Megatron virus. Virus or the climate crisis? They're already calling it the climate crisis? Man. You notice every single time that they come out with a name for the thing, every time they come out with the name for it, and it fails to get them what they want, they change the name. When they get proven scientifically that it is not what they are calling it, then when it's proven scientifically that everything they are talking about and pushing is complete BS, they turn around and change the name and start again. age. And by the way, how do you think if you know anything about science and geography, how does the planet end up in an ice age? Well, first off, the temperatures have to get higher and higher and higher to melt off the polar ice caps and all of that, right? So the more these ice caps, all the glaciers and ice caps and everything, they are all technically fresh water, right? Well, you have the ocean. The world's oceans are salt water. And salt water is technically a filter for all the garbage, pollution in the air. So here's what happens. You melt off all of the ice, which becomes fresh water. That fresh water eventually makes its way into the ocean. When enough of it gets into the ocean, it gets evaporated off because of the chemical reaction between fresh water and ice water, or I mean salt water. Now, all of the pollution that was in the air at the time that the snows fell, that formed the glaciers and formed the polar ice caps and everything else, gets locked into that ice. Because the ice was formed in the air before falling, right? So, as it melts off, the pollutants have been pulled out of the air, formed into the ice, it melts off into fresh water, and with its pollutants that came out of the air in the first place, runs right down into the ocean. And the ocean filters it out, and then it evaporates off, and boom, we get more precipitation. We get more clouds. We get more of all of that, and over time it gets more and more and more and more until it's creating a cooling effect around the planet because the sun is being blocked out even that much more. And then, well, gee, we went through the hot stage, which caused all that water to evaporate up into the air, and now we got to go through the cold stage, which, bang, we're in an ice age. It's a circulatory system. It's nature. Matter of fact, the methane pollution, the supposed methane pollution prior to the 1800s was higher than any pollution we have put out right now. Climate change, climate crisis, how about Mother Nature? Mother Nature has a circulatory system, and you don't understand how it works. That's how it is. That's how that's the truth about those climate crisis, climate change, global warming people. It's just like the difference between this group of people over here believes the earth is round, and this group of people over here believes the earth is flat, no matter what the science says. what? Even beer is made of water that sometime in its past had fish pooping in it. There you go. Isn't that beautiful? Dip in the road on the left side right there because it felt weird. So, what's the most important thing we need to do moving forward, trying to help fix what's going on right now? It's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be an easy fix. In my opinion, the first thing that everybody needs to do is stop voting for any politician that has been sitting in the same seat for 2 or more terms. Career politicians are what got us in this mess. Anybody disagree with that? Oh yeah. Well, I'm doing what I can to help further the message and help open people's eyes. And I still have to make a living doing it, so what better way than to show you the country at the same time? I mean, we really need to have that dialogue. I don't care which side of the fence you're on or that you think you're on. We need to have a dialogue because we need to be able to find that common ground, because the common ground is what is going to help us succeed. The common ground is what's going to make this country and the world better for the people in it. Right, Lisa, but we're not ever going to get any of the politicians to agree to vote the term limits back in. They used to have term limits. Most people don't even know that. There were term limits on both the congressional seats, and Congress and Senate got together with the right president of their choice, made their own little bill that they voted on. They didn't put it to the people. The people didn't get notified. They didn't even get a chance to fight against it. They didn't get a chance to vote on it, nothing. The Congress voted on it and passed it, then the Senate voted on it and passed it, and then the president voted on it and passed it, right? That bill got rid of term limits for Congress and Senate. And it's the same thing that they do with their own paychecks. Would you not like to be able to walk into your boss and tell him, hey, look, boss man, I know you've been paying me $15 an hour, but now you have to pay me $40 an hour, and there's nothing you can do about it. Wouldn't you like to be able to do that and get away? Because that is doing. We are, and we employ them. They are from their state that they represent, and they don't. They only do the will of their own pocketbook. When they raise their, when they keep raising their pay, their salaries, when they vote to raise their own salaries, it's the same thing as them looking you in the face and saying, screw you, you listen to what I say. Do as I say, not as I do. It's the same thing. They work for us, period. And it's time they remember that. Or it's time somebody makes them remember that. Somebody is up at the same time and saying enough is enough. No more. Not just Dems and rhinos, any politician. Do not vote for them. It is time to put fresh blood in there. And it is time to make sure that that fresh blood gets no more than 2 terms. And the only power that we have to do that now is our vote. Because you will never get any of the politicians to vote the term limits back in place. Because they know it means the end of their time. The biggest reason it's time for that is because I'm sick and tired of hearing that we just paid $30,000 for a freaking toilet seat. Hey, look, we got some active duty over here, or National Guard, whichever it be. They love. I always show support whenever I see them out. Doesn't matter whether they're National Guard or active duty or reserves. If they're out, they're in uniform and they're in their military vehicles, I blow the horns for them. And they love it. They wave. They're happy. Back when I was in the Army, I loved it whenever anybody would honk when we were driving down the road. I loved it. It made me feel like I was appreciated. Convoy! You're right, Jen. We're going to have a convoy to Rocklahoma. Let's start talking about that. We need to set up a convoy to Rocklahoma. If nobody in here knows what Rocklahoma is, I am sure Jen can give you all the information you need. Because I'd be willing to join that. But I've been told what it's all about and what, just because I want to.